This is Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag. Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag is Baton Rouge's longest running and best television show. Who would have believed that?
My best friend, Lee Feinswag, look at the Christmas.
Sports 225 is brought to you by Breck. Remember, it all starts at Breck. Now, your host, Lee Feinswag.
So the other day I called my friend Michael Cauble, the sports director at WBRZ, and I said, hey, it's time for you to come up in the rotation on Sports 225. And we realized it's been, 12, 15 years. So, you don't want to come back too often.
No, I mean, you don't want to spoil yourself, with the lavishness of a Sports 225 set, because the last time I was here was Sports Monday, and we had the recliners, and when we were walking in, half this building I don't think was built out. So, I'm impressed. I'm glad I waited. It was well worth the wait.
It's sort of like, did you know I played golf twice? So I played in
your lifetime?
I played in 1977, and I shot in 87, but I didn't play the back nine.
Oh, okay.
And then I played again in 2002. And the good thing about playing once every 25 years is that your game doesn't suffer at all. Similar analogy. And if I live long enough, I'm going to play again in 2027, but I got to live 10 more years.
Put it on your calendar. I think you'll make it. You're looking pretty good.
I'm, relatively fit, although, the males in my family have not had long lives.
Is that right?
The women have lived a long time.
Does that concern you at all?
It does. Every once in a while I go, I better hustle up and get whatever I got going done here,
Checking that thing off there. All right.
As mentioned, he is the sports director at WBRZ, which is still referred to, just like WAFB is Channel 9. People still call it Channel 2.
Channel
And there basically is no more Channel 2. It's 1005 on your Cox HD dial.
That's right. That's right.
So, I think I have this right. You are coming up on 20 years at WBRZ.
So I actually interned there. I was thinking about that this morning. I interned there in 1997 with Mike Rhodes, Jim Egan, John Burke was the sports staff then.
Wow.
How about them apples?
So 20 years ago, literally.
Yeah, 20 years ago, in the fall of 97.
Yeah.
And I remember it vividly because back then we had to pick one game that we got to go see. And, I'm thinking,
the Florida game?
No chance LSU beats number 1 Florida in Death Valley, right? So I'm like, I'm going to go to the game next week against Ole Miss. So I'm sitting at the station as LSU beats number 1, just, a mile and a half away from the stadium. And then kicking myself, and then next week I go, they play the Rebels and lose. So it was just such a
that's
deflation.
Right. That was the big upset and the big letdown. Yeah.
We've had a couple of those in the last 20 years.
There are some. Well, what I remember specifically about that game was at the end of the game, realizing that the fans were going to storm the field. And I've been in some bad situations.
Now, you were on the field at the time?
Yeah, you know how the media goes down
Sure,
with X number of minutes to go. And I said, geez, I said, I'm going over there with those guys. And it was a bunch of sheriff's deputies who were standing on about the 20 on the south end zone. I said, I'm getting down that way.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't you know it, all of a sudden we jumped about a mile in the air because they knocked down a goalpost near us that fell probably 5 yards away. Scared the living bejesus out of me. I tell you what, I don't like that situation.
It's a lot different for those of us that are working a game than those of us that are enjoying the game. Hey, have fun, whatever. That's why you're there. Mm-hmm. Now it comes with penalties and fines and all those things.
Right.
But for us, I've been in a couple of times, and you're just trying to gather all your stuff because for TV guys, that's where we put all of our stuff on the ground. And people don't want to take it, but they will trample it, in a heartbeat.
Right. They'll trample you too, because you go down and shoot video.
They will trample you.
You're down there, this kid's not a teenager anymore, and he's still down on one knee with the camera working it and everything. Yeah. And it's a tenuous situation, it can be.
It's a long day. Everybody is amazed when they're like, oh, you have to shoot your own video? And I'm like, that's kind of the world we live in now. It's not the media moguls in Baton Rouge, that you might think we are. So got to get dirty every now and again. But I like it. It puts me close to the game. I get to see and hear things that I think are important to my reporting. So I think that helps. And I have control. Everybody wants control of their product, and that's kind of where I am with it.
Well, to your credit, this is, we're on the cusp, if you will, of what would you, in baseball terms, we're like a strong AAA market, right? In terms of where we are. But,
right.
but what goes, well, on one hand, Michael and the station have a ton of viewers and people, watch it. On the other hand, you do everything. You know, to this day, you shoot, you edit, you do all the things.
What's amazing, we were talking about tape earlier. So when we started, we were on tape, like cassette tapes, if you're old enough to remember those, right? I mean, it's literally the same thing, magnetic tape, and you're cutting from tape to tape. And so as you transition to the digital age, it's become so much easier. But because it's becoming so much easier, you're asked to do more. Now, you know, we wouldn't report from probably the day of the game like we do now.
Right.
I mean, now we're literally reporting as soon as the game ends sometimes. So a lot of times we would have to wait, shoot that stuff, drive it to a TV station. Like if we were in Gainesville, we'd have to go to the local TV station, send that back. Maybe it made the 10 o'clock news, maybe it was too late, and everything would be new the next day. Now before me, you know, probably 15 years before me, nothing was same day news. A lot of it was from the day before.
Yeah.
And your deadline to be in for the 6 o'clock news was like 1 o'clock. You had because they had to splice the tape and put it together and just.
I mean, I could tell old guy newspaper stories about places that I sent from. I remember one time covering some kind of baseball in Alexandria and couldn't find a place to plug my computer. I needed a phone line that had a jack.
Yeah.
You know, just the old phone jacks. And I stormed into the state trooper's office, and I just looked at the guy, and he looked at me. He said later, he goes, "You're lucky I didn't draw on you." I said, "Does that phone work?" He said, "Yes." I said, "I got to send the newspaper story. Can I use it?" "Sure."
Well, that was nice.
Click
At least
it,
you asked.
put it in, got it going. I said, "I'll explain in a second," you know. And you know.
Look, things don't change that much. Now when we're on the road, a lot of times we'll crash the business center of a hotel and unplug those for use computers, and we'll send our stuff that way, a little TV secret there.
Yeah, exactly.
But how about this? We used to go to the bus station to send and receive tapes.
Yep.
Who knew you could send stuff via bus? But we used to do it all the time.
I remember that.
And WBRZ was on the cutting edge of satellite transmissions. We had a huge thing down, and we still do, down the hill from the station, and people would bring their video to us to send out to the networks and stuff. So times have changed, my friend.
Yes, they have. You can do it all on your iPhone. He's Michael Cauble. He's the sports director at WBRZ here in Baton Rouge. You can follow him at Michael Cauble. And we'll talk about that and many other things when we get back to Sports 225.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College, and we are so excited to have been awarded Forbes magazine's top 30 two-year technical colleges in America. To achieve this award, ITI was recognized for our high scores in 1, earnings of our graduates, 2, quality of education, and 3, affordability. To learn more, we invite you to visit our campus or go online. ITI Technical College. Begin your journey to a better life.
All right, we're back on Sports 225. I'm hanging out with Michael Cauble. He's the sports director at WBRZ. He went to LSU, pushing more than 20 years at the station if you count the internship. But I do remember this somewhere in there. You were born in Germany.
I was born in Bitburg, Germany. My dad is in the Air Force, or was in the Air Force. Retired 30 years, enlisted. My grandfather was in the Air Force. He retired in Barksdale. That's how we all wound up in Louisiana, because they were up in Shreveport. And so when I was born in Germany. We lived there for about a year maybe, moved to Phoenix, Arizona for 8 years. We got really lucky. We got stationed in spots for long periods of time, which isn't the norm for military families. Usually it's a 3-year stint, but we got 8 years, then we did 9 years in Washington, D.C., and then went back to Germany, went to high school in Germany for 3 years, and then came to LSU.
At the same town
So
in Germany?
No, a different town, Ramstein Air Force Base.
Yeah, that's a place where they always bring everybody. Whenever they have to debrief them after they've been hostages or something in the Middle East, they go there.
There's a very big medical center in Kaiserslautern, Germany, which is right there. It's an Army base, Army post, and that's where they bring all of the wounded, the critically wounded, right away from the foreign theaters in the Middle East. And so, yeah, you hear about it a lot. Ramstein is a very centralized hub.
Yeah. Sprechen Sie Deutsch, Herr Cauble?
Ein bisschen, yeah.
Have you been back to Germany since?
No. So my parents gave us the option. They were going to take my sister's family, my family, and themselves. We were going to go on a trip. We could either go to Hawaii or we could go to Germany. And I love Germany, but I had at the time a 2-year-old and a 12-year-old, and
you're thinking beach play.
I'm thinking Hawaii. Let's go have some fun. And so, Germany's beautiful, and it's a fantastic adult vacation. But when you're 12, 13, I have a couple of nephews that age, and they don't want to go look at churches and, Baroque architecture.
Drink beers that are this big.
Well, great story. When I went over there, I was a sophomore in high school, and we went to Munich. We went to the Hofbrauhaus and got a beer, and it's a liter, right? So I drank about, I don't know, I'd say 3/4 of it. My cousins and my aunt and uncle, they're from Baton Rouge. They came over my senior year. We went back. I killed a liter and a third, 3/4 of it. So I got better as time progressed.
Very good.
And the drinking age was 16 when I was there. So.
Now you're just happy to drink those little Miller Lite ponies.
Now I don't drink at all. I've had all the fun I could handle. I'm married with kids. I like to stay focused.
Well, I don't. As the joke goes, I don't drink anymore, and I don't drink any less. But
Hey-o.
and I will tell you, drinking. If you like beer, Munich. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable.
If you like anything, Germany is
it's
fantastic scenery, very clean. The food is outstanding. Yes, if you love beer, do it. It's just a cool way of life. People are very, respectful and into their towns. It was odd for me being an American to wake up and see them sweeping the gutters on Saturdays, because they literally go outside of their house and they clean their yards and they sweep the gutters, and it's very, very.
The other thing that always gets me is the public transportation. The trams, the buses, they're just punctual, clean, exact.
Yeah.
You would never, like where I live in Baton Rouge, you would never think of driving, say, to go to LSU, which is 4 miles. You would hop on some kind of bus or public transport, a tram that would drop you off, and then you'd walk, whatever, and it's just.
Well, and the other crazy thing about Europe is, if we drove to Houston, that would be, a 4.5-hour trip, and it would be fine. Where I lived, if we did that, we would be in Paris or we would be in Amsterdam. So It's just that much cooler, because you can get a lot of historical, and the history. I'm a history minor. You go to America, the oldest thing you're going to see is about 200 years old. You go there, you're 800 years old, and it's still kicking. So it is pretty cool.
Did you experience any Bundesliga? Some good soccer?
I did. I went to FCK game, which is a Kaiserslautern game, and it was cool. I played soccer all my life, and so when I got there, it was. But I'll be honest, I'm not that competitive athletic guy. I played it because I like to get out there and run around and have some fun. And I didn't take the losses home with me. I didn't sleep less at night because of them. But it was awesome to see anybody care about anything that much and have that many people at the same time doing it. We love our American football, and it's good when it's good and it's bad when it's bad. Well, it's always good over there, and it's just a crazy sight to see flares and stuff, it gets a little nutty, but it is a sight for sure.
As I've said on this show before, I've been lucky enough to go to a few European soccer games, and one in Munich, as a matter of fact. München 1860 was the team I saw. The other team, Bayern München, they share the Allianz Arena. They were gone. So I got it. This was like seeing the Yankees and the Mets, and if the Mets were really, really bad, that would be a good version.
And have you ever seen grass so well kept as European soccer fields? You could sleep on them and they'd have a better night rest. It's incredible.
This show always seems to turn into some kind of travelogue, but and I'm okay with that because I personally enjoy that, whatever. But you do cover local sports.
I do.
And specifically, LSU football, which, since we're in the heart of LSU football season, heading into a bye week before LSU plays the annual. What's going to happen at Alabama
the
game?
annual beating from the Crimson Tide.
And this is always a great week, though, isn't it? You kind of like it seems like every year. Not only does LSU have a weekend off, but the weather breaks a little bit, and it's just fabulous.
It's lovely. I'm glad we've had an extended range. Our fall will last more than 3 days this year, so it's been nice. But I also love the optimism that comes with the Alabama week. We got a shot. This is our year. Well, we got Matt Canada. Darius Geis is healthy. Maybe Arden Key will be a difference maker. I love the ideas that people come out with this week, and just the thought that they're going to get it done this year. This is going to be the one. Well, Saban doesn't have. He's got a sophomore quarterback. Instead of a freshman quarterback.
All right, hold that thought and let's talk about LSU Alabama when we get back. He's Michael Cauble. You can watch him almost every day on WBRZ Sportscast. Follow him at Michael Cauble. I'm Lee Feinswag. This is Sports 225.
Don't let the bed bugs bite you. We'll put them to sleep.
Bed bugs can be transported from most anywhere. Hotels, department stores, even a friend's house.
We've got the bead on bed bugs. Call the bug man today.
Call 923-BUGS.
Yeah, then we'll be back. All right, we're back on Sports 225, hanging out with Michael Cauble. He's the sports director at WBRZ, and we alluded in the last segment that we talk about LSU Alabama. This comes at a week where LSU has Saturday off and prepares for the annual big game, in which oftentimes there's disappointment. You know, but nicely though, our weather is broken. It's good. You're laughing just thinking about it.
Just because everybody pins their hopes and dreams on this game, you know, and in the past, you know, if you lost this one, it really sunk your season, and just because of that riding of the wave of emotion, I think, you know, fans are unrealistic. It's in their nature. You know, they always see the bright side for the most part, except maybe in Baton Rouge where they always see the negative side.
Yeah.
But just the idea that, you know, you can still be a good team and lose to Alabama, because Alabama under Nick Saban is just an elite team. It's a program that's transcended college football. I mean, no one is this good for this long. You know, the consistency, and I was thinking about why is he so good? Because he's gotten them to be able to buy in to what he sells, you know, and he did it in Baton Rouge. When you think back to the catastrophe syndrome and the Brook Trout look and what he was trying to do here in this town to get the fan base to turn around their mental, you know, attitude towards the game, playing for 60 minutes, playing relentless competitive football regardless of the score on the scoreboard. You know, all those little things that he would say.
And he still does all that. Even in his press conferences and interviews, he's basically talking either to his team or to the fans, but not to like the media in general.
Never
whatever.
to
It's
us.
always a message.
ESPN, Tom Rinaldi just did a great piece about him in press conferences, and Nick finally admitted it, maybe because somebody finally sat him down and made him answer it. But he said, no, I'm talking to my players first, I'm talking to the fans, and I have a message that I go into each press conference with that I want to deliver in that press conference, and I'll get it regardless of the question asked of me. Mm-hmm. And you know, we can certainly relate to that.
Yeah, exactly.
We can certainly relate to that. You ask a question, you get an answer. Like I would tell people that all the time. I was like, you're going to get an answer. It's just not what you asked.
Well, when you got here and got into the real world, you coincided with the end of the Jerry DiNardo era and then Nick Saban coming in. You know, it's sometimes timing for somebody on their beat. You know, like I was, a year or so on the LSU basketball beat when Shaquille got here. You know, and it changed everything on a national and regional scope for me, just as covering Saban those years that he was here probably changed a lot for you.
Well, and it did, and it really brought home, I was a military kid, it brought home a lot of the things that I'd grown up with, you know, like attention to detail, do things right the first time, there won't be a need for a second time. Those are just some things that, you know, resonate with you and carry through with you to this day. But certainly he changed the culture, I think, of Baton Rouge. He made them from a team that was a neat team, was a fun team, was an exciting team on occasion, to a team that became a national contender and then a program of prominence. And I think that's where they were for an extended period of time. And I think that 2011 championship pantsing, you know, by Nick Saban in the Superdome was kind of, all right, now we're in the regression.
Pantsing, like pull your pants down?
Pulling your pants down in front of the world, you know, so they could see your shortcomings. Is that great Oscar, you know, line when they had the streaker go across the stage?
Conversely, you know, he was replaced by Les Miles, who a little more than a year ago was fired at LSU for, I've always maintained, for two big reasons. There were other things that, you know, maybe it was time, but so that LSU would score more points and so that it would beat Alabama. LSU has not scored more points, nor has it beaten Alabama, and coincidentally didn't score any points against Alabama.
No, and that's the great irony of life, you know, is like you can look at these things in hindsight and see, you know, the things that you think are going to play out and the way you hope they play out don't necessarily do it. And you could very well be in the same situation, you know, as you were or as you are right now if Les had still been the coach. It could still very well be 6-2, but maybe they lost to Auburn, you know, and beat Mississippi State. You know, they certainly, I don't think, would have lost to Troy. Just because the style of football would have been different and you wouldn't have had some of those ups and downs. But, you know, we've talked about it before. It's a long time for a coach to be anywhere for 10 years. And, you know, you get a new message, some new life. You're seeing it at Georgia. You know, Kirby Smart come on and all of a sudden the Bulldogs are where they want to be. And conversely, Mark Richt gets to go to Miami and have success there. So it's good. You know, I think Les very much wants to get back into coaching football. I'm not sure that's going to be in his cards, but, you know, every time I see him, I tell him, just enjoy that paycheck you're getting, you know.
See the kids.
Exactly.
You got a great family. You should have all the money you might ever need. My gosh. All right. Speaking of all the money you ever need,
No, these two.
We're gonna take a break and come back for
Count
one
our
last.
millions.
Yeah, millions. Yes. We'll compare wallets. He's Michael Cauble. I'm Lee Feinswag. We got one segment left on Sports 225.
See that dog lover? About to unleash the terror hound on these friendly, unsuspecting canines? Well, I'm the human dislike button, and I see it too. Easy there, Cujo. Taking part in a dog socialization program at a shelter or pet store can help nip this problem in the bud. And no matter how well socialized your pet is, cleaning up the little rays of sunshine they leave in their merry wake is your responsibility. To learn more about me, go to breck.org/HDB.
Coming down the home stretch of another Sports 225. Earlier on in the week, I was a guest of Lee Burkeen on his Louisiana football show, and he asked me about Sports Monday. And I was like, Lee, no, it's been Sports 225 for like 6 or 7 years. Anyway, so it has. At sports225.com, you can get all the TV listings when we're on Cox 4, now called Your View, and also on CST. We archive all the old shows there, and you can, watch them in all sorts of fun fashions. How about that? I think I spit that out somehow, some way.
I think, yeah, you nailed it. I just think it speaks to your branding that Sports Monday has survived. Because I told my wife, I was like, I'm going on a show called Sports Monday. And I was like, actually, it's Sports 225 now that I think about it.
Well, the reason it's not Sports Monday is because Sports Monday was live. And I decided, A, I didn't want to be live, and B, I didn't want to do it on Monday. So I had to change the name. And 225, of course, being the air code.
Isn't it 7 o'clock?
Yep.
With a band. I remember racing off the set to try to get here.
Yeah.
Probably, 17 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, damn, now I have to have it back on again sooner than that. So LSU does go to Alabama a week from this Saturday. We won't see you between now and then.
Yeah.
What your thoughts about what might happen there?
I think, Alabama's going to dominate. I just think they have the offensive and defensive lines, and that's where you win games. And certainly Saban has a script that he sticks to, and he doesn't put the ball in jeopardy. He has a quarterback that buys into that, a running game that complements that, and I think that's how you win. If you can get special teams play to be good, then you put the W down. There's just not a lot of deficiencies on that football team. Whereas you look at LSU, it's kind of a grab bag. You're not real sure what you're going to get, but they have been trending up. I think they would have to play their best game to beat Alabama. But as you alluded to, it was a 10-0 game last year. So LSU, usually plays Alabama very well, and they get up for that game, and maybe they can ride that wave of emotion.
What'd you pick them going into the season?
I actually thought they were going to go 10-2.
And what do you pick them going out of the season now?
I think they will go 9-3. I think they will lose to Alabama, and then they'll win out. A&M certainly looking like more of a challenge, but Arkansas, who I thought might contend, isn't. So it's the give and take nature of the SEC West. Kind of they eat their own, and that's what you're always going to have. Maybe a premier team. And I think once Saban retires and they're no longer there, you will see a lot. Almost like the NFC South, where losers are first and winners are last. So it's going to be a lot of upheaval, I think. And I'm excited about what happens to college football when Nick Saban retires.
That's interesting. I can't even think that far ahead because I figure he'll be coaching. He's 102. All right, in 15 seconds, tell them what they look forward to on WBRZ and your sports to make your bosses happy.
Well, we every night, 6 and 10, we try to bring you local sports. It's my idea that you can get your sports, your national sports from ESPN or the websites. So we try to bring home the local sports. Wednesday nights, we're bringing you Fans Choice. Friday nights, we're bringing you high school football. And Saturdays, we're bringing you the best college football you can find in Baton Rouge.
There you go. Oh, well rehearsed. Michael Cauble. Follow him on Twitter at Michael Cauble. Thank you, sir. It's great to have you back.
My pleasure.
All right. Thanks for watching Sports 225. We're out of here.
At carnival time by Baton Rouge Bay, that's the site of my story. At Spanish Town Mardi Gras, things can get blurry.